Welcome to On the Chain. On the Chain. Here with Jeff and Chip.
He did it right this time. Do it slower.
I am Jeff. This is Chip.
Hello.
Today, I am not Chip today. Today, we are going to talk about XRP. Bitcoin, XRP. The SEC is planning for a big loss. Now, the big question is, Chip, what is the SEC hiding on SBF and FTX? And the reason why we're going to talk about this is because there's a couple congressional representatives that are asking that exact same question of Gary Gensler. Why did the documents related to FTX disappear? That's a huge question, huge issue, big losses from the SEC. They've lost a lot of Supreme Court cases. The last few cases, it's a little bit lopsided on their losses and their wins. We're going to get into that. And why is that relevant for us? Why is that relevant to the SEC v. Ripple case? Why is that relevant in general? Gary.
Care Bear. Well, let's get into it, Jeff. Let's go. You ready?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, everybody, to On the Chain. If you are joining us today, please hit the like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live. Maybe 1 out of 3 times. But that's okay. It's a good thing. The other thing you can do is go to onthechain.io, and that very top part of our website, you could actually put it in your calendar. Jeff and I thought, like, wouldn't it be cool if you could download a calendar thing and it just automatically notified you on your phone? Like, dude, On the Chain's on. And then you would just click over to the YouTube channel. We're working on it. It has to be available, the best way you can show love here is to share this with people. But if you want, you can also buy a super chat or whatever they call it on the playback. I can never remember the damn name of it. It doesn't roll off your tongue. And that's one of the ways. And then the other way you can support us is on Tuesday, Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. This time it's Yeti Tuesday. Yeti Tuesday, as we are rebranding it and renaming it, we will be launching the Badass Yetis. 589 of them. We'll get into that a little bit later. But 589 of them, we will be launching them on xrp.cafe. Super excited about it. And we'll get more into that. Yeah, see. Pork chops and applesauce, see? So let's jump into some stories here, Jeff. There's so much to cover. I always look in the Keep and I say, like, man, how much stuff do we have here? This just seems like a lot of stuff we have here, to cover. But this one is kind of an interesting one. So as you all know, Coinbase, finally, everybody was like, will they support the Flare airdrop? Will they not support the Flare airdrop? They put out an initial tweet that said Coinbase will add support for the Flare network, and this was up back on April 11th. Do not send this asset over other networks, or your funds may be lost. Actually, they will be lost. I like how they say they may be lost, trying to cover themselves with some legalese. But if you send it over a different network, it's going to be lost, Jeff. Right?
It's easy that your funds might be lost.
Yeah, they may be lost. Inbound transfers for this asset are available on Coinbase and Coinbase Exchange in the regions where trading is supported. And Jeff, you know what's so funny about this? Guess where regions are not supported?
The U.S.
No, not exactly, but I think they I think I heard from Rob Licker. I think that he said that again, New York wasn't supported.
Oh, New York, yeah. Is New York still a thing?
Yeah, the communist. New York is like, you want to talk about Banana Republic? You want to talk about just like they're completely out of track with every.
You know what we need is a new New York.
We already had that, didn't we? We had
start another one of those.
It started as Amsterdam, then it started as New Amsterdam, then it became New York. I like New Amsterdam better, which sounds a lot cooler, like New Amsterdam. Like, ooh, which Amsterdam is that? The one over the Netherlands and one over in New York? Because naming it the same as the name of the state seems like a misnomer. What happens when you grow up in another part of the state, as I did?
Steve is saying that we're on mute.
We're on mute.
But I can hear myself.
I can hear myself too. I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Guys, go ahead and click in the chat if you guys can hear us or not.
Are we on mute, or is Steve's volume turned down?
Steve, turn your volume up. Steve in America.
I think Steve's volume is turned down. Unmute yourself. Turn up your volume. Pump it up. And then Jess was saying, "Wow, none of you YouTubers are on time."
Yeah, well, you know what, Jess? Here's the thing.
YouTube wasn't on time.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Sometimes we are, but usually one of us, never both of us, but one of us, either I'm having some weird issue. The thing is, nothing really ever changes from our setup. But, Jeff is not at his normal, you can see no lemon tree there, but it doesn't even matter. We're in the studio and it's the same thing. It's like we always have something, and they will always say, like, sorry, guys, some technical issue. We always get here early to run through stuff. Usually, as of late, it's been the microphone. Sometimes it's the throughput. The other night when I was going live, I couldn't, like, we had so many storms down here. As you guys know, there's a lot of flooding down here in South Florida, but the power was flickering. It turned off my my modem, and then I couldn't access it. So that there's always some reason. But jumping back into this, Coinbase will add support for Flare, and wait, that's not it. Okay, so this is it. So Neil Hartner, and Neil happens to be a senior software engineer over at Ripple. He's working on ODL cross-border payments. He's also curious about stocks and crypto. So Neil's kind of
like ODL.
Like ODL. There you go. So he made a comment on it. He said, this is interesting. That would mean that 4 billion XRP was held on Coinbase at the time of the Flare snapshot. That's about 8.8% of total circulating XRP that was held on Coinbase at the time. So the impact of Coinbase delisting a month later was really significant. Man, that's a lot enough. That's surprising, right?
That's an interesting setup. So here's a question. Let's say if the case ends soon, but when the SEC v. Ripple case ends, and we have the positive outcome everyone's anticipating with a victory of Ripple over the SEC, so a big SEC loss, is there a potential lawsuit from whether it's XRP retail holders? And this would be an interesting question. So to throw out there, especially for John Deaton, is there a potential lawsuit against Coinbase for delisting or freezing XRP? Is this only relevant to Flare, or is this relevant to Coinbase impacting individual users with their accounts on Coinbase? Are they somehow responsible for? And this is obviously hard to prove, but it would just be an interesting case, regardless, to go after them for potential consumer losses. Some people, had XRP stuck there. It was difficult for people to get it off, or if you only were using Coinbase, you didn't want to use another account. Did their actions disrupt or directly cause consumer losses? Although, there has been no outcome yet in the case, as we know, via SEC v. Ripple. But it did impact. We know that SEC lawsuit has impacted consumers on the retail side with their nonsense, making big claims of XRP being a security. And Coinbase jumped the gun very, very quickly, abiding by the SEC request, and froze the purchase possibilities of XRP on their platform. And now also having, the Flare, SGB, all of those were frozen. They weren't distributing. You're muted.
I had to mute myself because my dog was he was acting up, and I was trying to give him orders, like, Max, get over there. Jeff, what's weird about this is that there was no clear legislation or reason to do it. It was an impending lawsuit. It was fear because they're a public company, because they're under, because of the SEC Overwatch, and concerns about that. But again, were they jumping the gun? Uphold has left on, always had the ability to buy XRP. Nothing, right? So, and I love Uphold because, look, anybody that would stand up and say, look, there's and exactly the legal argument they made was, until we know otherwise that XRP is a security, we're not going to delist it. Why would we, when there's no clear cut path on that? And so this is where, it's interesting. It's like, well, it doesn't matter how it turns out. At the time, there is no official ruling. It's all gobbledygook, according to Gary. And speaking of gobbledygook and stuff in the SEC, Jeff, something you teased earlier, but Stu Alderoty's been on fire recently, man. His last couple tweets have been phenomenal. The other one he tweeted out last week, I think I said it won the internet. It was amazing. But this one here, Stu Alderoty, who's the general counsel over at Ripple, said the SEC's lost 4 of its last 5 cases in the Supreme Court, thanks to the few that had the courage and the resources to fight back against the SEC's bullying and clinging to stretch legal positions that were not faithful to the law. Jeff, how could you say so much with just like 2 sentences? Is that one sentence? That's one sentence. That says a lot right there. The bullying, you had the courage to stand up. This is phenomenal right here. And
there's Brian a lot packed into that.
Brian Monarch, who's also a stand-up comedian, who also has been on the chain, by the way. Brian was on here talking about his deep fakes that he did. He did some cool stuff with Gensler and a bunch of stuff. But look up the stuff that he does. But he says it's just an awful organization. Crypto Asset Guy says SEC equals the toilet equals the poop emoji. So basically you're saying, so a lot of people are reading into this, Jeff. So a lot of people are reading into like, oh, this is going the distance. What do they know? Is there something that they know? And that kind of plays into a lot of stuff here. I want to go to this one comment here because again, I've heard all kinds of stuff. But Steve Walker's saying, "Hey, Jeff and Chip, what's going on with Crypto Eddie? I normally love her content on XRP, but is she gaslighting us? Is there something? Does she know something we don't?" Honestly, I don't see any gaslighting going on there. I mean, if you want to look at one of the best, foremost authorities, best researchers, a lot of good researchers in our community, she's the best, right? She's one of the best. She does her homework. The other thing she always does too is that she always connects the dots with facts, and she'll tweet this out. Now, I don't know specifically what you're talking about here, Steve, but I've heard a lot of criticism online recently of Crypto Eddie, and it's like, to me, it's a little unwarranted, and people are like, and sometimes she'll tweet something out. It might be unpopular. That's fine, but again, the research is solid, and the stuff that she brings is always solid, and there's tons of research behind it. And she's been around the space for 4 to 5 years. It's not somebody who's a newbie that just floated in here and cranked up a YouTube channel. So, Jeff, I mean, I think it's something we should address. Oh, wait, what's this? We got some tweets by Crypto Eddie. So, yeah, let's jump into that.
Well, I would like to know which specific tweet he's referencing, Steve is referencing regarding to Crypto Eddie. I know that there's also been a lot of controversy over the whole buyback, concept that's been floated out there. I mean, we might as well, be talking about dancing bears and all these different paradoxes of the 589. But I think, overall, I think she does a phenomenal job, presenting. I don't think that she has any insider type information. I don't think, but like Chip, what you're referencing, she does a great job connecting the dots, and I think that part's really important.
Yeah, and the other thing too is she's not a maxi, right? She's she believes in cross chain. That's a good point. One Rough Rican says Ari backs her stuff up. Been with her since the beginning. Yeah, she's always methodical in that. Jared, what? You're telling me the XRP isn't going to be backed by gold and the government isn't buying all of it? And this is kind of the weird thing. It's like sometimes, Jeff, the weird thing is we use this show here to really air our grievances. I'm thinking about a Seinfeld episode, but no, we air like our opinions here, like what we think about, how we think about it here. I do some of that opinion stuff here and there on Twitter. Actually, I use a lot of Twitter to consume data. I'm big time into AI don't say that, Jeff. It is absolutely true. It is real. But, when I think about the different things going on there, so this one here, I want to put this up here, and she did a great video on it this morning, by the way, early. What happened was Ripple had published an article about their Liquidity Hub, right? And Liquidity Hub is something that's used by organizations, companies. Companies are using, there's this Liquidity Hub. So an updated explanation by Ripple and Liquidity Hub, XRP will be evaluated with our tokens once it has regulatory clarity. The original post of this omitted that statement. It said these are the tokens, everything from USD to BTC, ETH, ETC, BTCH, and Litecoin, USDC, and USDT. And all of a sudden, everybody on Twitter erupted, Jeff, like, oh my God, there's no XRP, and what are we going to do? And everybody was bringing this up, and oh my gosh, the sky is falling and everything. And I just read it and go, well, yeah, I mean, do they want US businesses to use it? Great, because they can use the DEX, the decentralized exchange, built into the XRPL, and they don't have to worry about any potential issues there. That was like the easy, like I read it and I discounted it that fast. And when it blew up all over Twitter, bizarro.
So Chip, Steve is saying the Liquidity Hub, she was implying that if the SEC wins, that Ripple will drop XRP.
No, I don't. That's not what I got at all. No, what Ripple is doing, this is legal. They are covering themselves because, again, do they want U.S. organizations to use it without any sort of backlash from the SEC? You say, well, hey, guess what? We're using Ripple's Liquidity Hub. It has nothing to do with XRP. Okay, because guess what? BTC, ETH, whatever you move and you use for liquidity, you can use through the XRPL and the decentralized exchange, right, Jeff? Where am I going wrong here? What are your thoughts on this?
I think, so there's, some issues. I think they definitely have to evaluate XRP. Let's say, 5 years from now, there's a better asset that comes out that's better. It's more scalable. Maybe it becomes an international norm of use. Are we going to see, here's Ripple continuing their business model, and they want to make sure that they're relevant on the global stage because, again, they're all about moving money and moving it quickly, moving it efficiently, moving it cheaply. They want for complete settlement of transaction. They're a Swift, not even a Swift 2.0. They're just a whole better solution, better model. With Swift is going to become irrelevant on the global stage, and that's where Ripple wants to step in. I think that's pretty obvious that that's their target. Now, if 5 years from now, if there's a different standard, globally, and that's the asset that they deem is better, then I think that's what they'll end up using. The benefit, though, for them to utilize, we know they're using the XRPL. Their ODL is tied into XRP. In order for them to provide that liquidity, I still believe that they're going to continue. And, we could be completely off base. Who knows what they're planning, other than them, but their ODL right now is tied up with XRP. If you want to have a short-term loan, if you need liquidity in order to complete fast settlement and move large sums of money, right now their best option, and we saw it through, was it MoneyGram? Was it MoneyGram or was it the other? Yeah, it was MoneyGram, where they were using the ODL. They were utilizing the RippleNet for FX, and they were very successful with that. They were moving, they were saving. It was quick, it was efficient, it was cheap. But right now, I think due to the regulatory circumstances, U.S. banks and financial institutions are going to be less likely to want to completely use a solution when the SEC is saying, hey, we think that that's a security, when it's not. So I think that creates some delays, which is another reason why Ripple has been expanding their platform globally on a much faster pace than what we're seeing in the U.S. You're muted again. Muted.
Yeah, because of my dog. My dog's going crazy today. I don't know what his thing is today, but he's a little crazy. Lou Mera says this Ripple position actually strengthens their position in the case. Michael Murphy says the lawsuit is why it's not listed. Absolutely. I mean, guys, and talking about, and like, why would you, quite honestly, why would you doubt Crypto Eddie? She's like the top researcher, has everything spot on. And, she'll talk about, this is my opinion, or this is my hypothesis, or she doesn't frame it like that, but she'll say, this is my gut feeling. And that's different from, hey, this is a fact. This is what you see. This is what is read. And she had a clip on today. I don't know who the guy was. on the real, what's it called? I forget even the name of the top. But the guy was bringing up a really phenomenal point. I don't know who he is, but he was some dude. He was some dude. What's up, BZ? Some dude talking about it. And he made a really phenomenal point about the idea that in Asia, if you think about it, scarcity, like especially like you see all these nations run to the BRICS, right? They're all going to BRICS. And what he was making the point of is imagine the opportunity for the US dollar, because every stable coin is backed by the US dollar, right? Every single one of them. And his point was like, hey, if you wanted to have some liquid, USDTs, it doesn't even matter what it is, any stable coin, and you could have it on your phone. You could have $5 worth, $10 worth. Just imagine, like, and this is what I talk about, like as nations are getting away from the global, from the dollar. Well, how would that look if you could actually expand that and you started seeing people trading that on other things? So it opens it up to a whole new market. And it was a really good thing he made. He said that because he was asked, like, what's the biggest advancement? He talked about stablecoin, especially the fact that it was backed by USDT. So I thought that was a really good one to kind of go on with this thing. Jesse Hine jumped in here.
That's interesting, Chip. You're bringing up the BRICS nations move and the US dollar and everything that's transpiring. There has to be some level of, right now the world is going through a challenge period. There's ebbs and flows in the power struggles globally. We've had a singular hegemonic power, for an extended period of time since the collapse of the Soviet Union. There hasn't been a true counterbalance to the U.S. on the global stage, and China is now fighting for that position, backed by Russia, so to speak. Those two, I don't believe that they share a common. They don't share a complete commonality in terms of what their outlook is as a power hold, globally. But China is definitely fighting to insert their relevancy globally, economically, not just as a manufacturing outlet for a cheap product, which is really all they've been good at. That and copying other people's patents and stealing their intellectual property rights. They've been really good at that over the years, and people, they want cheap products, and so China has, the global stage has ignored what they've done to manufacturing everywhere, and we've seen, what that means when all the pharmaceuticals are manufactured in China. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing that they hold that kind of power. They're trying to utilize that power hold with the BRICS nations and trying to promote the digital yuan, trying to promote their currency. The issue, I think, that people are ignoring is that means that on a larger scale, the governments or the individual people are going to have faith in the China model and the China economic model for stability. They've already burned their bridges across the globe with their cheap products. If you go anywhere in the world with any of the bigger devices, so let's say if it's manufacturing, if it's medical, whatever it might be, China has burned their bridges across the world stage, and people don't want their products because of the fact that they're recognized as cheap, inefficient, they're not durable, and they cause all sorts of other problems. Not to say that they don't have good product, because there are a handful of companies out there in China that can compete on the global stage. The vast majority of the product that comes out of China cannot compete if it's not backed by a European or a US or other corporate entity that is providing the R&D behind it. So they're trying to leverage things right now. I see the outcome being a little bit dismal. The other thing that people don't recognize, Chip, in China is that they have a population issue. They have a population that's aging rapidly. Their birth rates are still relatively low as a counterbalance. So they're getting to a point And there's been, quite a few papers written on this. Granted, they still have a lot of people, but there's a tipping point when their population gets to be too old and the younger population is too small in terms of size to take care of the aged population. So they're reaching that tipping point, and it's going to be interesting to see what the outcome is. But it also goes, but so they're trying to make. I think there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Plus we have a weakened administration in the U.S. that's a complete pushover, and they're jeopardizing the stability of the world right now due to that, allowing these bad actors to elevate themselves to what we're seeing. But that goes back to BRICS, goes back to cryptocurrency, and goes back to decentralization. When do we see the people getting the power back?
Well, Jeff, I mean, if you want, listen, this is all by design. If you guys think this is just ineptness, yeah, maybe. But if it's by design, what do? You put a shill like Gary Gensler in office, who's going to collapse innovation in the United States. How is he going to do that? The biggest emergency industry since the internet, right? And since we go back even further than that, than the personal computer market, with the advent of companies like with Apple and Microsoft, right? Totally changing the way we function in the world. Later, the internet. Now, the innovation that's coming out. So how do you do this? Well, first of all, you sell out to China. That's the very first thing you do. And second of all, if you look at the news that's happening in the US, all of it leads back to the big guy, okay? So the big guy with 10%, every single portion of it. Raid on Mar-a-Lago. Geez, who instigated that? The big guy. What about the sellout to China? What about weather balloons flying over the country, surveilling everything? Oh, we're not going to shoot it down because it's in the middle of a state with the lowest population in the United States, biggest landmass, and they're not going to shoot it down. This is all by design. It's all by design to collapse it. Why? Because if you've been following the WEF and you've been following what they want to do, they want to collapse it because they want to reset. Here's the deal. The good people that are into crypto like us, they're not interested in the reset. And you know what want to know what made the world even better, Jeff, in my opinion? This little event that happened over the last 3 years. Can't say it still, which is weird, but you can't say it because people were like scared. There's a lot of fear. Then people woke up and said, no, I'm not bending the knee. I'm not rolling over. I see what you're trying to do. So to assert that power, Jeff, and all this brick stuff, I say go. I say go enjoy it because it's not going to end well for you. But that's okay. That's just a prediction on us. Do we know? I don't know. It's weird how we're in alignment on this, but go over there and see how that works. You got to worry about who the main player is, and you got to worry about why they're the main player, and you got to worry about who was the very first country to implement a CBDC that tipped off the rest of the world. Well, that's right. That would be China as well. Did they do it because they're innovative and they're advanced? No, they did it because they're able to exercise control over the people. Here's the clip, Jeff. I found this clip. I went and searched it on Crypto Eddie's view. So this is why. I mean, I don't know why you would doubt Crypto Eddie for a moment. Half the stuff we read on the show is because of her research. We're just two guys bloviating about it. She's the one doing all the work. But this was a great one. So this one here, right? I mean, so she said, make sure regulators don't overreach because the US dollar will absolutely be dragged into new places of the world with new buyers to build a new core currency in this digital asset class. US needs to be careful. The largest online only bank, ZA in Hong Kong, has started offering cryptocurrency to fiat conversions through services licensed crypto exchanges. And then I like that she tagged the GOP majority whip, which is Tom Emmer there on this one. And she said, one of the best videos, Raul Paul, ever, I enjoyed every minute with Richard Galvin. And I'm going to put this on here because let's hear Richard talk about it. Jeff, tell me if you hear sound here.
Look, not being a
You hear sound? Okay, good. It's a little low, but let's go.
US citizen, I guess I take a maybe a more global view of their position or where they sit today. I think they need to be careful about risking, the prime position the US dollar has in this market. I think if you looked at it with a cynical view, you could say, the best case outcome from a monetary perspective was that crypto never existed. The second best outcome from a US perspective was it exists, but it trades against the US dollar as the prime currency that it's traded against. And so, if this asset class succeeds and it grows into anything like I expect it to grow into, it'll drag the US dollar into new places, right, into new grounds. And we've kind of seen that with stablecoins. When you move through Southeast Asia, you see people using Tether in jurisdictions where you never saw US dollars before. In a way, it's been that kind of that sort of first wave of pushing the US dollar into new markets. And let's be frank, they need new buyers of US dollars given the deficits that they're running. And so I think the US is in an incredible position of building that kind of almost that kind of new sort of petrodollar type system where they become the kind of core currency against new asset class. And I think they need to be careful they don't risk that, because there is alternatives, right? That it wasn't ordained that this asset class had to trade against the US dollar from day one, right? Like it could have had another currency that became that sort of primary currency that it was benchmarked against, and it's just been the US dollar to date. But
so Jeff is making a pretty good point there. It's like in places in Southeast Asia where the dollar didn't appear, right? And the fact that all these stable coins, and isn't it weird how like everybody's worried about the stable coin? Like, you see how everybody's concerned about it, Jeff.
If that gets too hard.
Yeah, it's what we here. The thing is, we need stability, right? People want stability. So whatever that reference point is going to be, whatever currency that's going to be, people on a global stage want that stability. People were attracted to the US dollar, although it wasn't backed by gold or really backed by anything. It was backed by the government. The government issued that as a promissory note and saying this is valued at X and we're backing it up. The rest of the world has had major issue with financial stability in terms of current currency stability. Even, there's some issues even in the EU when they were absorbing countries within, into the EU that were less economically viable, less economically stable. Countries like Cyprus or countries like Greece. There was definitely some major issue when they were absorbing Greece from a financial perspective, where you saw Germany taking on the bulk of the weight from an economic point of view. The U.S. is always in a very unique position. And that's why the U.S. dollar also being utilized as a reserve currency. There has to be some level of expectation on a global stage. That doesn't mean that the U.S. dollar will always be out there. It doesn't mean that we won't necessarily see a transition to CBDCs and some centrally controlled fiat. But that also doesn't mean that we're not going to see a decentralized asset that the world is going to want to gravitate to and utilize. And I think at the end of the day, people want stability, and that's it. So I think that's whatever that outcome is going to be. There's going to be power struggle, which always goes back to the fact that sovereign nations want sovereign control over their currency, even though there could be outside influence that's influencing the currency, influencing rates and everything else. But the countries still want that sovereign control, and that goes to every country until they get to a point like in El Salvador or elsewhere, where you get to a point and they say, hey, our currency isn't good enough. We can't maintain it for whatever reason. They're not maintaining the stability. Venezuela, obviously, they went from a mass exporter and producer of amazing things, and agriculturally, and in terms of the amount of beef they used to export, to being reliant on countries all around them for a handout. And they had 1,000,000% inflation. Their currency went into the toilet, and then people are turning to utilizing digital asset as well as the U.S. dollar instead of the Venezuelan bolivar. And so those are major issues. Those are things that we have to really take into consideration when we look at all of this. And the same thing with the digital yuan. The renminbi, is never stable. Same thing like in India with the rupee, never stable. They all tied back to the U.S. dollar, and trade was in the U.S. dollar. Again, it's stability, and that's going to be the most critical point here.
Yeah, Jeff, well said. And I was going to go somewhere else with this, but it was based on what you were saying there. I said, call an audible here, and let's go someplace else. So what you're talking about, when we talk about stability in the region and the world and stuff, I saw this and I laughed. This was like one of the funniest tweets I've seen in a while. So Hillary Clinton came out there, a world-class, interesting. You want to know an interesting backstory on this one. I'm not saying it happened, but I'm like, his circumstances are interesting. So she never lived in New York.
I'll remove myself real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. So let me go on a little tirade here. So Hillary Clinton never lived in New York, right? So she ran for president in 2016, failed there, but she was running in 2016, or I mean 2000, the year 2004, senator of New York as a carpetbagger, someone coming out from another outside region, never lived there, but wanted to be the senator of New York. She was running against none other than John Kennedy, I should say. This is the son of John F. Kennedy, the former president who was assassinated in 1963, because he made a speech about outing the secret societies about 2 weeks prior to that, or maybe a month prior to that, and talked about how these secret societies who operate outside of governments, and well, we have a different name for that today, but he was basically saying that it's time to get rid of them and time to put them down. Oh. And so hey, Jeff, now you're in the dark.
I'm in the dark. I got to go fix the lighting here.
While he was saying the whole idea of that. And so interesting enough, so you're talking about a legend, you're talking about somebody who comes from a family. You had Ted Kennedy, who was a senator for his entire life. You had Bobby Kennedy, who was also assassinated in 1967, was the nation's attorney general, and was also assassinated. Why? Very outspoken, took him out as well. Ted was the brother that wasn't really that outspoken, and Ted was the guy that was very, very, very left. And he's the kind of guy that could have an car accident with somebody who wasn't his wife, who ended up dying in the car accident. He walked away and no charges were ever dropped. So I'm just saying, it's just kind of a weird thing. So she's running against John Kennedy Jr. And all of a sudden, John Kennedy Jr. has a tragic plane accident and she becomes the senator of New York. It's a weird thing, but look at this statement by her. She says, it's just a weird coincidence, Jeff. But let me, I hate to do this, but so she says, so this is by Bitcoin News. Hillary Clinton warns that Bitcoin could destabilize nations. And this is according to Bloomberg reporting this. And Eric Voorhees comes in with this. He says, no, it's not the printing of trillions of dollars that destabilizing nations. It's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This is like one of the greatest things I've ever seen, right, Jeff? It's like that has nothing to do with that. Just
don't worry about that part. Don't ignore the fact that they've printed the U.S. dollar into oblivion. That has nothing to do with it. The other power struggles, but it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the problem. It's amazing, and this is where we see them fighting for control. They're fighting for their power hold. And that becomes a major issue as it's the struggle, and the struggle is real. Wanted to give Lou a quick shout out here for the coffee money. Appreciate your support. That's awesome. Lou has got some great statements here.
Yeah, Lou also said, "Hey Jeff, Chip, you guys are important to the XRP community. That means a lot to us. Really appreciate it. We can bring a little bit of a geopolitical perspective and trying to tie things together. So it's just like everybody. Crypto Eddie has her niche, and who do we talk a lot about? Some of the legends around here. Crypto Eddie, I don't know why you'd ever doubt her personally. I mean, she's been proven steady for the last 4 years, but that she's been doing this. But again, I know that tempers are high. Listen, we're all kind of frustrated by this court case. I wanted to get into this because another person that's been really kind of like cranking it up is this guy Adam Cochran. And the reason I noticed him so much is because John Deaton retweets him. But check this out, Jeff. Here's hang on a second. What am I doing here? I got to stop this because I was sharing the audio, I believe. Let's hit this. Let's do the ding and this here. There we go. So this should work this time. So many buttons you got to click to do this. So Adam Cochran tweeted out about a particular court case, a 9-0 court decision pointing that the court questions the power of Congress to give agencies primary authority over rights ahead of judicial review processes. And Judge Clarence Thomas, using legal speak here, but it translates to Gensler, stay in your damn lane. And this is fantastic. And I think this really needs to be read here because this is it right here. So Justice Thomas, one of the greatest minds of the Supreme Court in the United States. And I don't know, Justice Scalia was like one of my favorites. You'd read the opinions and just be in awe. And Justice Thomas, Jeff, they've been going after him as of late, right?
There's reasoning, obviously. Again, it goes back to power. It's the power hold. They're trying to take over the Supreme Court. They realize they can't win with the current Supreme Court balance. And so they're going to do anything to upset the balance. and that includes making up stories, lying, cheating, whatever they have to do. So they're going after him.
You mean the general Washington politics that both sides take advantage of on a minute-by-minute basis? So Justice Thomas said, "Hey, I joined the court's opinion in full because it correctly applies to the precedent to determine that Axon Enterprise and Michelle Cochran's structural constitutional claims need not be channeled through the administrative review schemes." I like how he calls it schemes at issue. I write separately, however, because I have grave doubts about the constitutional propriety of Congress vesting administrative agencies with primary authority to adjudicate core private rights with only deferential judicial review on the back end. And again, if you were to apply this, and what he's saying here is that Congress doesn't give you carte blanche. You're not getting the power to go ahead. Like the SEC is the one that is supposed to be looking out for the little guy, capital formation, not structuring, having this what he refers to as adjudicate core private rights with only deferential judicial review on the back end. So, and Adam Cochran nails it. He says, Gensler, stay in your lane. Exactly, because you don't have that power, Jeff. That's a pretty solid point, no?
It's very solid, and a huge shout out to Notorious. What is going on?
Notorious puts out awesome videos. I don't know how he still cranks them out. Man, it's still amazing. Look at this right here. So this one here, this is another good one about Gensler. So this is Gabriel Shapiro said it's, and the story here is in the block, it says the US SEC is getting ready to scrutinize DeFi markets even further. So they want to lump in DeFi with exchanges. Has nothing to do with that, but that doesn't matter. Gary Gensler doesn't care what the Supreme Court is talking about, watch, stay in your own lane and don't go outside your bounds of what's limited, what you can do with regard to Congress and current legislation. He says, sounds like the SEC's points to approve last year's widely protested Reg ATS amendments that shadow covered the DeFi without reopening comment period or paring that back. What a nightmare. Because remember this, Jeff, there was so much, they put it out for like 3 weeks and said, we want to get comments on it. And the normal period is like 90 days. So it just looks like they're going through with this amendment. They don't write amendments. That's not their job to go after DeFi. And so Adam Cochran commented on this. He said, if correct, that would be one of the most dangerous and frankly dumb moves the SEC can make. Gensler is so hell-bent in his career path that he's willing to hinder U.S. economy. This move would have huge impacts for both DeFi and TradeFi. But look at this here, Jeff. That's the main statement right there.
It's destructive. So here's the question. Is Gensler doing all of this specifically, for his own career path? Because it doesn't end well for him. 2 years from now, brand new administration, it does not end well for him. He gets no more career advancement if he's planning on career advancement in the government. However, that being said, just like all the other unelected and elected bureaucrats, what happens after their stay within government? They somehow become very, very wealthy. He's done, pretty well for himself over the years. Gensler has, had a great career in banking and investments, and so he's amassed a decent fortune. But that is nothing in comparison to what he's going to get when he leaves government. And it's and that's where the big paybacks come in. And so who knows where that's going? He's got a huge paycheck on the back end. And so how many of these unelected and elected bureaucrats are not looking out for the interest of the country? They're only looking out for their interest and their party's interest. And that becomes very dangerous. When we stop thinking about, in this country, we're in the U.S., obviously, American exceptionalism, putting America, on the forefront of everything and making sure that we're leaders and not followers. The past 2 years has proven what happens on the global stage when the U.S. takes a back seat. And now we know. That's very destructive.
Jeff, it's proven. So let's not forget, Jeff, I was debating whether or not I'd say this, but let's not forget who the bagman was on the Clinton campaign. Gary Gensler was the treasurer of the Clinton campaign. And what came out, and you guys want to fact check me all day long on this one, but what came out in court proceedings with the Durham proceedings? Well, what came out was the Clinton campaign, which funneled money, which was behind the dossier, which wasted about 3 years of the last administration in going after that, was false, was proven false, and that was a big scam. Also, the Alpha Bank hoax, which was that somehow Trump had servers set up in his New York residence, and it was communicating with Russia. That was also found to be a hoax. And the person that was fingered by that in the Durham proceeding, the court case that came out, was none other than Robbie Mook, who ran the campaign at the time, said and attributed directly back to Hillary Clinton. Now, who was the person who was the bag man? Actually, the person that was running the treasurer, the person that was making the payments. So Gary Gensler was making these payments that turned out to be illegal, that turned out to be scams against somebody who became a U.S. president. Now, in my book, that looks like treason. That looks like it could be punishable by well, look up how you punish in the U.S. what the law says for treason, and it doesn't end well there. But again, let's crank up an investigation about why he funneled the money, how much money he funneled, and why did he pull the trigger on it? Because he's directly attributed. You want to go after Gensler? Let's go after Gensler. Let's go after him and what came out there. So there you go.
Steve, brave man, Chip. HRC is lining you up, buddy.
By the way, just for the record, I have no plans at all whatsoever. I've even have in my will, in my living will too, to keep me on life support as long as possible, because I'm fighting through and I will find a way. So I'm not planning anytime soon on doing that. And by the way, this is all just for entertainment, guys. We all know that it's not anything real or anything like that. So just yeah, that's funny. But anyway, that's it. That's how we go after Gensler. We crank up
X Factor. Crank up the reality. People just, we need to see, more media, but one of the things, obviously the media is controlled by external, power players as well. They let you hear what they want you to hear. They spin it the way they want. They want you to understand it, and it becomes, extremely detrimental. And I think we saw that just recently, even, from the red side. You could say, hey, Fox News was supposed to be the most balanced, but look what just happened to Tucker. He was releasing all sorts of stuff, and then all of a sudden he said he was going to keep releasing documents, and all of a sudden he got shut down. Obviously there were some power plays, at work there. So it's hard to get real news on anything. How does anybody really know? Nobody knows. You got to go to Twitter.
Paul Ryan, who was the most failed speaker and also VP candidate under Ryan. And it's like people think, oh, Chip, you guys are like so pro. I'm conservative. When it comes to, I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the Bill of Rights, right? I follow all that. But I'm an independent. I've been independent because most of the people on the red team, I cannot stand. The people on the blue team, however, will tell you exactly who they are, and they'll be true to form. The people on the red team are liars, they're fakes, they're phonies, they're morons for the most part. There's a bunch of good ones, but they are mostly morons. Jeff, go ahead. Talk about Rough Rican.
Shout out to Rough Rican. What is going on? Now, if this platform would only incorporate the YouTube stickers and all that cool stuff, we'd actually be able to show the cool super sticker. But you guys are enjoying the super sticker on the YouTube side, which is very cool. So what is going on? Rough Rican said, the legacy media is dead.
Dead and buried. And and it was masterful how Elon Musk took apart the state-run media called the BBC. And it's so funny. The state-run media over here is called NPR, National Public Radio, which is funded mostly by the U.S. And Elon Musk put the same sticker on their profile that was put on the Russian one a year ago by the previous owners. But they didn't like it when it was done to them. But that was cool because, it's Russia and everyone hates Russia, blah, blah, blah. But look at this, Jeff. I wanted to get into this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you and good night. Here is where we're launching the, let's get into some badass Yeti talk. XRP.cafe. What a wonderful exchange this is. These guys, I can't tell you how amazing it's been to work with them over there, especially with newbies like Jeff and I. Just in there, they really, every step of the way, they went above and beyond to really help us and make sure that, we were at launch. Any kind of questions that we had, they answered. They were available. I mean, questions came in from Jeff and I at all kinds of weird hours, and they were right there on it. asking they set up a separate Discord channel for us, and a lot of conversation in there, instructional stuff. But thank you to everybody over at the XRP.cafe. We're excited to be launching there. And this is where we're going to launch. So people are like, well, Jeff, how do you do it? Well, it's pretty simple. So I'm going to go to this top right corner here. I can't blow it up that much here. But at top right corner, it says connect your Zum wallet. So when you're on mobile, you'll just hit connect. You'll go to, there's going to be a mint button because again, minting means that you're going to click mint and you're going to get a random badass Yeti. Until they're all minted, all 589 of them, a lot of them will maybe show up in the secondary market because people might want to, increase the price a little bit and then, kind of flipping the badass Yeti. So that's one way to do it. But I wanted to show you guys, Jeff, let's go through these. Let's go through a couple of these guys right here, right? So if we think about
Yeti.
Badass Yeti. These are the Titans right here. So the Blue Tribe is what we're releasing, 589 of them. And there are 7 clans that make up the Blue Tribe. And Jeff, one of the cool things that you came up with was unique names for every one of these. You guys will have a unique name that doesn't exist. It's a very different approach, but everyone has it. And when I looked at them, I said, Jeff, how the hell do I pronounce this? Well, Jeff came up with the pronunciations as well, which you're not only going to get that because sometimes they're missing vowels. Because what is this based on the names, Jeff? What are they derivatives of?
Oh man, we're using some old lore. So we went back into Norse culture, kind of Viking lore, Greek mythology, and we went back into kind of the Himalayan region, old lore. And so we try to take and put it all together to come up with interesting names. So you'll see a heavy influence when you start seeing these names, and it was really, man, it's really interesting to see how that all came together with that. So that's going to be trying to see how we can quickly pull that up, but that's going to take a minute.
Yeah, these are the Titans right here. So the Titans of, and then we'll get into, let's see if I can get into the next tribe here. Let's look. There's a whole bunch of those guys. Let's see. Let's get into the next one. These are the Pathfinders. So these are the Pathfinders. And again, they do have unique characteristics of them, especially with eye color and some other things. But if you notice, they're all pretty unique unto themselves. And then later up, we've got Jeff. You know what these guys? These are one of my favorite ones. These are the Templars. The Templars with the shields. If you guys notice, they all have a shield. They're ready for battle tested. They all have their helmets on, ready to go. And you notice this guy right here, he's got one eye, right? Now you imagine there's a lot of sometimes, with these badass Yetis over time and stuff, and because of threats to their homeland and some polluted waters cause some some deformations and stuff like that. These guys here are the Frostbeards. As you can see, they got these cool ass little beards going on right there. They all have different weapons. Some are holding clubs, some are holding knives. And we've got these guys right here. Jeff, and these ones here, you call these ones.
These guys are terrifying. These are the Shiver Spine. So the Shiver Spine clan, it's the most terrifying of the 7 clans, and they're known for their exceptional agility and stealth, able to move silently and quickly through the snow and ice. And that's why they're even more terrifying, because you just never know when they're coming, and just looking at them, man, just makes you nervous.
Yeah, terrifying, Jeff. That's a good way to put it. Jeff's like, yeah, this makes some terrifying ones. These guys here. Tell us a little bit about the Mentalists. The Mentalists are interesting guys as well. Jeff, go ahead. Give us a description of the Mentalist.
Oh, the Mentalist. Oh, so the Mentalist is a secretive. They're secretive and terrifying in their own right. Obviously, you can see them. They're silent but deadly, and they possess incredible mental and telekinetic abilities. So.
And it's really sort of large cranium, Jeff. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's almost like they can barely stand up, but they're also pretty fast as well. So that's what the Mentalist right there.
Did you get into the Yeah, the mentalists are cool. What about the spirit walkers?
There's the spirit walkers right here.
So the spirit walkers are interesting too because they're connected to the earth, to animals. They have a connection to the spirit world beyond, and they have keen abilities to communicate with the spirits of the land and draw upon the power of the spirits. So there are the spirit walkers. So as we have so there's actually 4 different tribes of badass yetis, and so when we actually launch the badass yetis come the 18th, this is going to be the first tribe with 7 distinct clans. So the clans that you'll find, and we threw them up there: the Titans, the Pathfinders, the Templars, the Frostbeards, the Shiverspine, the Mentalists, and the Spirit Walkers. And so the Titans are actually the strongest of the clans. They're feared for their physical prowess and bravery in battle, and so so that's great. They're although some of the other clans might contest the fact that that they are the bravest and strongest. They see themselves as the bravest and strongest, and that's why they run around with their armor and all that stuff. So, but the mentalists, I like the mentalists and the Shiverspine. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. I mean, they're just incredible there. So hang on a second. I'm gonna put something up on screen here if I can get it up there. Let's see. What the hell, man? Come on, man. Come on, Jeff. Go ahead and talk. Let me try to figure this out here real quick.
What are you throwing up? So we got what a rough weekend said. Question on the 18th in the Zum wallet, you'll see a mint button. Once you go to the XRP cafe and you connect your Zum wallet, that is what gives you the ability to actually connect with their NFTs. Space Invader joined us earlier. Said good morning, fellas, which is great. We got a whole bunch of people popping in here. A lot of great comments over time. So it was a good show today. Good showing of people that popped out. It's all because of you guys out there that come and support us each time we live stream. You guys are absolutely outstanding. And there you go. There's some of the names. So
there's some of the names right there. So it's like, how do we pronounce that? That's Fenrir, right? These are all derivatives. So Ron, Hildskalof. This is the names they have. You can see that this is Jormungandr, Gulfixie. So you'll know how to pronounce your Yeti when you get it. This one's Volva, Jeff. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, this was Fornjot, Rockernasir. So again, there's the pronunciation. That's Sigrun. So cool stuff, man. It's like, and each one of them is absolutely 100% unique.
Unique. Every Yeti is going to be unique with its own name, and that's going to be great. So the first launch is the first minting will start April 18th, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting, and there'll be 589 in the first. So once those guys get going, then there'll be a second. I don't remember exactly how many were in the second. That we're launching, but I think it was 1,111.
That's right.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a great memory. So the idea is like, these all of these tribes and stuff will have now, Jeff and I also plan to launch, we're not just creating an NFT one-off series. We're looking at creating a brand, and we're looking at creating a product too. So we will have a product drop that will be related to the Badass Yetis and creating a brand of Badass Yetis, right? We wrote a game actually out of the Badass Yeti. So there's places we want to take this as a brand and where we want to go with it. So I will say that. And so that's another way you can support the show as well. But again, Jeff and I put a lot of incredible amount of, way more than we ever thought, Jeff. I thought we thought it would be difficult, but what it's done for, I think, both of us is we have a brand new found respect for anybody, any one of these that you see, and obviously to me, the number one out there, and this is just my own personal opinion, but what Xspector has done is on a level. I don't care if you go to OpenSea. No one's taken this approach to have these agents. And again, just full disclosure, we do own an Xspectors. So I just wanted to say we also purchase land because we're going to open up on the chain. We actually bought a pretty sizable piece of property inside the Xspector universe because we're opening up an on the chain sort of a probably be 3 stories You'll be able to come and hang out. You'll be able to learn about cryptocurrency. You'll come to hang out and, stuff related to the show, merchandise you can purchase there, but also the Badass Yetis will also be there. So it's going to be our own sort of like virtual place in the X-Spectre universe. But this one here, obviously, probably without fail, one of the coolest and most interesting ones out there, without a doubt.
Are you going to show? Put it up there with the X-Spectre?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was showing that. Thank you, buddy.
No, yeah. But it'll be great. So when we do, when we're able to open the land and the on the chain space over there in the X-Spectre world, we're hoping to let the Yetis run amok. And
just let them loose on the X-Spectre universe. So.
Right.
Again, I want to give some recognition to the team over there. Adam, Mookie, Sloppy, Two Cakes, Jebsy. And you guys know Jebsy because he's amazing. In his own right. You guys probably recognize that one right there. His very
mushrooms.
The X Shrooms. So he's behind the X Shrooms, Vet, Stove, and Tippy Vaughn. But these guys just do amazing stuff. They also do a weekly. If you want to catch it on Twitter Spaces, fantastic. And we're just excited to be launching here, guys. It's really good. One of our collection will show here, but just
pretty soon we'll have the Badass Yetis will be there front and center. It's cool. It is, going through this technology has been, like Chip had mentioned, there's so much to learn on putting this together. It always seemed like, all you do is just throw it out there and it's good to go. And there was a lot that goes into it. And hopefully once we get these launched, we'll be able to do maybe a short video series on what it takes to actually launch NFTs. And that was exciting. So, I want to give a quick shout out to supporters here. We've got Jim D, Michael Murphy, XP Market. Got a bunch of supporters here on the chain community that are commenting in the chat. Big support here from Rough Rican, from Lumira. Support you guys. As always, you guys are the best and the brightest in all of YouTube crypto space. And we get, Chip, we have a great we have a great community here.
We also have something special for our supporters when it comes to the Badass Yetis. We'll talk about more details of that next week. But again, we want to recognize the people that have really supported on the chain over the years and really help us, because believe it or not, this is not a money-making venture for us. It's purely out of just Jeff and I really wanting to just have a place to talk and engage with the community. And again, there's bills to be paid here. I mean, there's a lot of software, a bunch of software that we engage with and use. And so there's a lot of that too. And that's what that helps doing, because surprisingly, you would think there would be money in advertising coming from YouTube. It's very little. It's very, very, very little. So really,
don't like us too much.
It's just not. People are like, I was like, well, you guys be killing it with the advertising. I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I mean, I know some people out there are killing it, but not for us. Well, not so much. I mean, it's just the way it is. But that's where your support comes in huge. And how does that look? I mean, you click that join button on YouTube. That helps. You go to the onthechain.com. We got some supporters over there that to pay like an annual, just want to support the show and want to, sort of help us take care of some of the bills around here.
It's very cool. Hey, Chip, talk about any type of giveaway of a Badass Yeti on a live show.
Yes, we will be giving away Badass Yetis as well during the live shows, guys. So you're not going to want to miss that. But we'll definitely have giveaways on the show itself. And again, we're going to do some with the community. We've carved out a bunch for the community at large to be able to do some stuff with. But there's Jeff's laughing.
One of them looked like Maxine Waters from Congress.
You never know, man. They say everybody has a doppelganger out there somewhere, and some of them are the Badass Yetis, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, we have a lot of fun things planned. We'll roll out more details, but again, we have a show tomorrow night, and then the next show will be Wednesday, which will be after the launch. But follow the Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And we're excited about it going to launch. And if you think about it, XRP.cafe just hit a milestone. They have 1,000 collections over there. So again, we're competing with a lot of stuff over there. But the good news is we will have that front moniker for a little bit. this front piece up here, which looks like right now they're advertising the Jitterbot. But again, this is where you'll see the Badass Yeti pop up here. And excited about it. And hopefully we trend in the top 10 here, Jeff. I mean, I see the same ones in here, like the Core Apes and the X-Lego Punks, and of course the Bored Apes.
Definitely. We're going to be number one.
This is a very successful project here. Like if you look at these guys here, man, they go all the way up, all the way. Look at this, 499 XRP, 500 plus, 550. So, and our floor, Hollandia. What's up?
Hollandia.
So if you want to know, the floor price is 125 XRP. And there you have it.
There you have it.
And there you have it, everybody. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you
All
guys.
Right. What time are our shows, Chip? Just so everybody out there knows, and if you go to onthechain.io, it's front and center what time the shows are. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sundays and Wednesdays. So make sure you guys put that in your calendar, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. And sometimes we're delayed a little bit. Sometimes we start at 8:05. Sometimes we start at 8:06. But, you know, we always make sure that you guys have great content, a great show. Love the comments, because there's the show behind the show are the comments in the show. And that's why sometimes we'll be reading those and lose a little bit of just, our attention, get a little distracted, start laughing, because there are, great commentary going on.
Yeah, Crypto Investigator says good entry prices. I'm glad to hear that as well. But guys, go ahead, screenshot this right here. Let me put this up here. Take a screenshot of that. If you're watching on your mobile, screenshot it if you're watching on the desktop. Why do I say that? Because you guys can go in your own calendar, set a recurring one for all 3 of these dates. That way you're not, because a lot of times people are disappointed, Jeff. They're like, I didn't get the alert. Well, guess what? We don't get them either. And we all, so we understand that. We're like, we don't even get them. We're the 2 hosts. We don't get them either. So.
And we don't want to bombard people with emails and those types of things and notification, but it would be nice. We'll eventually get a add to your calendar link on the website. It would be very cool. And that way you can put it on your calendar, and we'll put, but the thing is, the link, we could put a direct link to the YouTube channel, and that way you can find when it goes live. But just remember, on the chain, 8 p.m., 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Sundays and Wednesdays, and 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And Michael Atu used to all the work I've been putting together for years. Michael.
Sir John says we're always delayed.
We're always delayed. It's the time difference.
And Sir John's up late. He's like, come on, every minute's like a minute. I can't get some sleep here. Come on, let's go.
That's great.
There you go. Best chat in crypto. Agreed with that, Becky. Yeah, that's exactly how we feel about it too. And we always can't get to the comments, but again, we love the comments and we try to eye them up. It's a lot easier to kind of put them on the show. This is badass. Yeah. One Rough Rican says excited about the Yetis. This is cool too. And we got another cool comment too. So someone said, you know what? I've never really been in NFTs, but I like these badass Yetis. And of course I love On the Chain. So I'm really excited about getting a badass Yeti too. Just so you guys know, when you mint one, it's a random thing. And if you guys know the vinyl toys, which these are derivatives and based on, when you used to get the box, they're a blind box. So you'd have to open up the box. They were in these little foil wrappers. You'd open it up and you'd get, it would be blind. So that's kind of how the mints work. You're going to get one of the 7 clans. And I want to just see who's the first person that's going to collect all 7. Let's see who's the person that's going to get all 7 of them, that own every one of them, starting, from the Templars all the way to the Mentalists and Spirit Walkers.
Oh, wow.
And everything.
That'll be interesting.
Right?
Wow. That gives us some thoughts.
Someone's going to be the first to own all 7 of the clans. So it'll be fun to see who that is. So that's it.
Lots of plans. Lots of plans. Stay tuned for the website. Hopefully we'll get that website up also for the Badass Yeti. So that'll come with time. Writing the backstory. The backstory is a lot of fun to write. You guys heard a little bit of it when we talked about the individual tribes and the clans. So it's going to be great.
We had, I got to tell you, it's been fun exercising the creative side of this, with creating the Yetis themselves and, what I just say like it's something so creative of a project that just turned out to be a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but just gotta say, you know, Jeff and I just had fun putting our creative minds and like, what do we come up with? And this was created out of nothing. So it's fun. I mean, like, it's good to see it out there and live. And I can't wait till you guys start getting these and sharing them on, you know, I can't wait till I start seeing profiles with a badass Yeti as your avatar. And that's going to hopefully support or banners. Like our thought is to have like badass Yeti banners. You can like, you know, if you want to support too and just say, hey, like, I like the badass Yetis, whatever. But
And Chip, I've been since I've been rewriting the whole backstory and trying to sum it down. I think it's coming out pretty cool. I want to read just a couple paragraphs, and this might not be the final because it's still in draft form, but it's exciting. You know, so it's called The Legend of the Badass Yetis. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a legendary creature known as the Badass Yeti. This mighty beast was said to reside high in the snowy peaks of the Himalayan mountains, far beyond the reach of human civilization. For centuries, stories of the Badass Yeti have captivated the hearts and minds of people across the globe. Some believed it to be a fierce predator, while others believed it as a gentle and misunderstood creature. Despite numerous attempts by daring adventurers and fearless explorers to locate and capture the elusive creature, the Badass Yeti remains shrouded in mystery. Though some claim to have caught a glimpse of the Yeti from a distance, their tales were often dismissed as mere flights of fancy. As time passed, the legend of the Badass Yeti only grew, becoming a symbol of the unknown and enigmatic. Despite the ever-advancing technologies and extensive explorations, the Badass Yeti remained a hidden treasure, its existence still steeped in legend and myth. Even today, the Badass Yeti remains one of the most compelling and mysterious creatures of folklore, inspiring countless tales and stirring the imagination of people worldwide. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, many still believe the Badass Yeti lurks in the snowy peaks of the Himalaya, far from human eyes. As the legend of the Badass Yeti spread far and wide, different tribes of the creature began to emerge, each with their unique traits and characteristics. These tribes lived in isolation, hidden deep within the vast and treacherous Himalayan mountains. So that is how it gets going, and there are 4 tribes. So it's exciting. We won't get into the rest of it, but that's the beginning. So it's going to be awesome. Yeah. I'm loving it. It. It's fun writing it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much going. It was fun creating them. I got to say, I was like, just enjoyed the hell out of it, and so man, it's exciting stuff, guys. So really looking forward to it. You can tell we're excited about it. I mean, if anything, we're pretty damn excited about it. So let's see what happens on Tuesday, Jeff. But super psyched. And again, go support XRP.cafe. Pretty good guys over there.
125 floor.
125 XRP is the floor price. Yep. And again, we actually wanted to be, we tried to figure out, that was a little bit of a thing like, hey, wanted to have something where, again, you know, it's sort of wasn't too high. I mean, but would we like to be higher? Sure. But I want to make them, you know, accessible and affordable too. And I think it's a pretty, we heard that earlier from somebody in the chat here saying it wasn't a bad idea, you know, as far as a good entry price. So that's good.
And man, we are running over time here, but guys, did you talk about the new contracts and the Ripple battle? I think we need tomorrow night, Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have a lot to talk about. So Chip, hopefully I make it home. Hopefully the airports are open. Hopefully there's no issues. So we'll be good to go.
Talking about, joins the XRP discussion live, talks about Yetis. We'll rewind it because we talked about Ripple and XRP for the first 50 minutes. So there you go. So we did can't wait to mint full a handful. I think right here, I don't know, it could be odds right here, but Expector 007 here, quite honestly, might be the first. And I want to see, guys, when you get whoever the first one is to get to that has all 7 of them from all 7 clans, go ahead and put a tweet, tag both Jeff and I, and tag On the Chain. Okay. So I wanted just when you guys, let's see who's going to be number 1. Liz Warren will be claiming she is part Yeti soon.
She's seeking position as tribe leader.
Crypto Investigator says, I appreciate it regarding price. Yeah, again, we wanted to make it accessible. You know what I mean? And we're excited about the project. But again, we got bigger places we want to go with this. And again, it's going to be pretty cool. So guys, hang on tight and that's why we wait till the end of the show to talk about the Yetis, because we know you want to talk about the news. And we honestly want you to hang in for that. And if you're still that one person still listening, thank you, one person still here. Always appreciate you. And of course, there's more than one person here, but love it. Love it.
You guys are awesome. And we will see you guys on
the next one. Chip and Jeff out. See you guys.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.